Welcome to your walkthrough on a 2026 Superstar floor plan 4159. If you come up here to the cockpit area, we'll start at the driver's seat and go through the dash area. We'll take a look at our cabinetry in the overhead. We have storage here, and in this cabinet we have some additional information for Newmar owner support. If you have any issue or question, please feel free to give us a call at our 800 number here. Additional storage here. This is your radio core. Your radio core is connected to your screen down below. More storage. And your speaker, subwoofer. So inside your driver's seat area, on your left hand side, you've got your window controls, door lock and unlock, window up and down. You've got your mirrors and your heated mirror control. So if you turn that to the left and the red LED light comes on, then the mirrors are heated. So use that if you had moisture or frost on your mirrors. If you push it down again, the heated mirror function will go off. To adjust the mirrors on the driver's side, press the left hand one, and then you can adjust the mirrors up and down, left and right. When that one's done, switch over to the passenger mirror, then you can adjust that one. When you're done, just press it again, and then you're finished with adjusting the mirrors. The control up in the front here, we can look at that a little easier if we move the steering wheel. We have a lever at the bottom here. If we loosen that, we can move the steering wheel or telescope. So if we tighten that, our headlights are on right now. These are the marker lights here, and that's off. If we want the headlights to come on automatically, we turn it over to the left. If we want the headlights to be on and we pull the knob out, our fog lights are on. If we pull to high beam, the fog lights go out. Now the fog lights are on. To disengage the fog lights, press forward. To turn the headlights off, that's your marker lights on, headlights off. The instrument cluster, starting on the left-hand side, is your RPM gauge. Below that is your oil pressure gauge and fuel level. In the center cluster is your home screen here on your left-hand side. You can scroll through that home page, and then once you get to one that you want to view, whether you're going to the right or left or up and down, is the function. So once I choose one of those and press OK, I can go into adjust or change those settings. Pressing the OK, now I can scroll up or down in that icon. Moving over to the right is my RPM gauge. Below that is my air pressure gauge and my water temperature gauge. In the center, at the bottom, I have my parking brake indicator and my engine indicator. If I release my parking brake, the red light will go out. Over on my left-hand side is the battery boost. Here, if I need to boost my engine batteries or my chassis batteries with the house batteries to say help it start, I would press and hold down the battery boost towards the chassis side for 1 minute, and that will help give more power to the chassis batteries to boost them so I can start the engine. If I need to boost the house batteries, I just go in the opposite direction. The keys for the ignition are here, off is straight up and down, and then out. Turn signal here. If our key is on, we can see our turn signal indicators here. Left-hand turn and right. Our wiper washer, if we need to wipe wash, just press that in. We can change the settings for our wiper speed, whether that's delay or on or high. Again, pulling this is just for our headlights, high beam and low beam. On the other side, we have our shift indicator. When we change a gear on the handle, it will display on the home screen. D is drive, N is neutral, R is reverse. I can change from manual or automatic or back and forth when I'm in drive. If I want to shift manually, I would go into the manual shift, and then this will change the gear that I'm driving in. Typically, you would leave it in the automatic mode. This right-hand handle can be moved up or down to change the brake, which is your exhaust air, helping assist your coach to slow down, especially on inclines where you're going downhill. Less or more engine brake, you can adjust it right here. Up is no engine brake, and down is most engine brake. On the right hand control here, we have our telephone on or hang up, and you'll have to Bluetooth your phone through the Excite radio to make that function work. We have our cruise control here, set and resume. This sets our cruise control on, and then we'll need to set the speed that we want. This will flash our lights or our headlights. So if we want to flash our marker lights or headlights, that's where we do it here. This goes to the screen that you've chosen as your favorites, and in this case, it's the trip. The parking brake indicator, which is red here, is illuminated, meaning the parking brake has been applied towards me. If I want to disengage the parking brake to drive or go in reverse, I would just press this forward. I'm not going to press it forward because we're parked inside a building, but if I press this forward, the parking light should go out, and I'll be able to put the coach in gear and drive. When I come to a point where I need to park the coach again, I need to stop, apply the brake here to stop, and then pull this parking brake towards me, and then put the coach in neutral here. Moving over to the infotainment center, we'll be able to turn that on here for navigation and radio and cameras. What you have here is a split screen. The screen on the left is your main menu for your radio, core, and functions. The main menu shows your radio, media center, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, HDMI, auxiliary, camera control. Let's say if I'd select camera control, that's going to give me options to view. So in these options, I can choose one of the icons, or I can choose the 360. So if I chose the 360, that's going to show all the way around the coach. Once I select the 360 degrees, I can go back to any of the other views. That's right, that's the rear view, and that's left. If I'm in the rear view, I can press closer up, or further away, or the center one is like the mid-range view. Back to our home screen. We can go through the home screen here. We have an auxiliary, camera controls, one we just looked at. Our navigation, we have to accept the terms. Now we can choose a route or select a route that we might have already had in the memory. Say we were selecting a new route. We could search for a destination, or we can see ones that we may have already been on and then just select that one. We're inside a building, so the GPS isn't going to pull that signal in to help us find our route. So we'll move on to the next one. This is our setup page. Our setup page is what we want to go through when we initially get the coach and set our radio up. Our Bluetooth is a selection we can make if we want to make telephone calls here. We can connect our phone to this device, and then once our phone is paired with the Bluetooth, we'll be able to make telephone calls here with our steering wheel selection. When we're done with the radio, we can just turn it off. So to my right, the first cluster here on the panel is your emergency hazard flashers, on and off. This is a blank switch. Our next one over is our footwell lighting. So if we turn that on, the footwell lighting comes on down here. Our lane departure warning, if we want that to be turned off, we can press that. And now our lane departure warning is off. Press it again, and it's back on. Next cluster over is our docking lights. Docking lights on and off. Then a blank switch here. Our cabin ceiling lights on and off. And our generator. This is the manual start stop. If we want to turn the generator on, we just press and hold this for a few seconds while the generator is priming and preheating, because it's a diesel. And then after a few seconds, the generator will start. You can hear it started. Then when we're finished running the generator, we'll just press the stop button and it will shut off. Our cluster down here to the left is our automatic traction control. This is off. You can see at the dash when I press that, the traction control deactivated. So if I press it again, it's reactivated. Regen off and back on. This is the shutdown override. So if for any reason your engine was shutting down and going to a lower idle speed, you could override that just by pressing that button, and that will give you some time to get your coach off the road and to a safer area before it idles down again. Blank switch here, shade up and down, and that's the overhead shade above us. And this switch is not a switch you can turn on or off. It just tells you if the antenna is up, it lights up. So if you are leaving and you start your coach up and put it in gear, that light is going to light up and tell you that you forgot to lower your antenna. So then you'd want to lower it. Two blank switches here. If you need to lock your differential, that switch is here. Just press here. That locks the differential for traction. And then if we want to dump our suspension, let's say for traction issues or maneuvering the coach, we can just press that switch and that will dump the air out of the rear axle. You can also dump the air in that axle if you're going to hook up a trailer. The panel below is your cockpit air conditioning and heating HVAC system. You'll need to turn it on to at least the number 1 fan position in order for it to come on. So once you do that, turn on number 1, you'll hear the fans come on, and then you can make your adjustment to the left for it. The blue is air conditioning. If you want the air to recirculate in the cabin, press this button. You'll see the LED light turn amber. If you don't want it to recirculate, it will let air come in from the outside. And then, of course, you can adjust it to the lower foot or defrost. And then you can control warmer or hot to the right, and then the cool to the left. To turn it off, just go back here to the 0. There are power outlets here for your chargers, USB-Cs and 12 volt here. And we have 2 cup holders here. Your seat adjustments are here and going towards the front of the seat. This one is tilting the seat back, and then as you release it, locks into place. This is for your lumbar adjustment here and here. Just press and it'll change the way your upper and lower back is. This is the air increase. It brings the seat up or releases to go down. Once you have it where you want, you can lock it into place here. That locks it when it's down. This releases it so it can move. As you move towards the front, there are some additional controls in the front. This one unlocks the seat so that you can move the seat forward and back here. And this one is the tilt, so you can move the seat. You can move the seat. If I'm sitting in it, you can move it and tilt it up and down like this. There's a bar here. The bar also has an adjustment. If you lift up, and then it locks into place. So those are your seat adjustments. And just remember, since it's on air, it's an air ride, this adjustment will require that there's air in the system. So we've moved over here into the dining area, and above it we have cabinets here. The first on the left are storage. Our center cabinet is our AV cabinet, we call it. It's your audio-visual cabinet, so you'd put your satellite receiver or your Blu-ray DVD player. Those cables are labeled. Each one has the name of what it goes to. And there are 2 additional 120 volt outlet plugs in the back so that you can plug those receivers and players in and then stack them. Above this cabinet is your Bose speaker, and you can play that independently with Bluetooth or through your television. The cabinet here is more storage. Under that, we've got our manual shades. Just pull down to release and up. There are crank out windows here on both sides with screens. Just crank to open and close. The shades on the end walls are the same. They're manual. Just pull down and lift to release. There are 2 120 volt outlets with charger ports, USB and USB-C. And of course the table here folds down into a bed. So to do that, there's a locking mechanism here. The handle, just rotate it to unlock, and then the table is pushed down. So once you remove the seat cushions, just press down, and there's a third cushion in the bedroom that you'll put in there after you put the other seat cushions back. So that's your bed, and it's just the reverse procedure to store it away. Remove the third cushion. Lift the seat cushions out of the way. And then lift up on the table and rotate the handle to the lock position, which is up and to the right. And then put our seat cushions back to use the dining room table. There are 2 pull-out drawers and storage underneath each seat. The TV lift is stowed away on the back wall. To operate that, you can do it from either the small panel at the theater seating or the larger 10-inch panel in the hallway. But just go to the TV lift and press up, and you'll watch the TV go up. And you want to travel with the lift in the stored down position. But once it's up, we can turn it on, and then we would scan for our television channels, whether that's over the air or cable. We need to scan both and make sure that if we're watching over the air, we have our WineGuard antenna turned on. And if we want to watch cable, we want to make sure that the WineGuard over-the-air antenna is turned off. So with our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here, and now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air WineGuard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels, yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. 39 channels. So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the WineGuard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable. We've turned our over-the-air WineGuard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. When we're finished, we just turn TV off and go back to the panel and press down. And that, of course, like we said before, you want to have it in the down position before you travel. Here in the living room area, you have a smoke detector, and in the bedroom is a CO2 detector. They both can be tested and batteries replaced if needed. To test it, you should press the button here and you'll hear a series of tones. That tells you that the batteries are up and it's operational. Now, if you didn't hear the tone, you'd want to check the battery and replace it. To do that, just rotate it counterclockwise until it releases. It comes down, and then the battery tray is right here. Just open the battery tray like this, and then replace your battery. To test it, close the battery compartment, and then you'll activate your beep tone, and that makes sure that it's working again. So that would be ready to go. So here on the ceiling panel, we've got louvers that the air conditioning and the heat pump from the rooftop air conditioners, intake air and exit air. And the filters for your HVAC system on those roof air conditioners is underneath this panel. So you'll have to bring the panel down and take those filters out to clean them. To do that, Newmar provides this tool in your drawer. There's magnets that hold this up. After you insert it, you pull down to release the magnet. There are a series of magnets that go all the way down that hold it up. Once we open it, we can see the filters here on the passenger side. Each one of these needs to be removed. Just grab a hold of the circular filter and pull down to release it. And then you'll remove that filter, clean it with warm soapy water, let it air dry, and then you'll put it back and then reinsert it. And you should do that weekly, especially if you're living in the coach. These vents beside it are the discharge for the cool or heat air that comes down through, but these are the return air. When you're finished servicing the filters, you'll need to go to the rear of the coach and do the same thing in the bedroom area. Both panels close the same way. Just reach up and push to close, and you'll hear the magnets attach. So across from the TV, you've got the theater seating. The theater seating has footrests and the seat back reclines. In the center is a storage compartment with a drawer that pulls out and slides back and forth, along with cup holders on both sides. And this is the control for extending the footrest. And once that goes out, then the seat back will move and your footrest will extend. Go the opposite way to retract it. And in the center is a USB charging port on both the left and right hand control. Just to my left is the control panel for the coach. This is just a smaller version of the 10-inch one in the hallway, but it has all the same controls. So if you go to the home screen, you can look at the selections you have: HVAC, AGS. You have HVAC on the top left. You have AGS, which is automatic generator starter. You've got the floor heat, lighting. You've got tanks and TV lift. So once you press any one of those selections, let's say tanks, that takes you directly to the tanks. To get back to the home screen, just press the home screen button here. And let's say I wanted to adjust my floor heat. You can see our adjust for the front, mid, or back. It has to be lit up. Once you make the selection, you have to press the on-off button to actually turn it on. If you don't remember to do that, it won't actually be on any one of the low, medium, or high settings. These low, medium, and high settings aren't a particular temperature, it's just a range. To turn the floor heat off, press the off button, and once it goes gray, it's off. Going back to the home screen, if we look at the HVAC, we can see we can turn on for the living room or the bedroom. We can adjust the temperature up and down. We have our time, and we can see what the temperature actually is inside the coach in the living room area. If we go to the bedroom, it's just a little cooler in the bedroom, 68 degrees. We can adjust the temperature for the bedroom. Now, if we turn the mode on to a selection, either cool, auto, which selects heat or cool for the temperature you set, or HP, meaning heat pump, FURN, furnace. Fan is just fan only, and off. You can turn just the fan on in the bedroom or the living room for the rooftop air conditioner here. If you turn the fan on, it will continue to run all the time. If you just leave it in auto, it comes on and off with the temperature and the compressor at the same time. The buttons beside it are to hold a temperature, or ECO is to slightly reduce the temperature or increase it. To save, if you're leaving the coach for a while, you can hit Eco. And if you've set 72, for instance, in your cooling, it would allow a couple degrees warmer. If you had it on heat, it would be a couple degrees cooler. Oasis is your heating system. So if you choose Oasis, you'll need to turn that on here at the burner, especially if you're going to take a long hot shower or you're camping in cold winter conditions and you want to make sure that your tanks stay warm. You will turn the burner on. Or if you just need a little bit of warm water, you can turn one element on or both. It heats up the solution and then you'll have hot water. Going back to the back arrow, we're at the screen we were. Again, you have to go to the either living room or bedroom and turn that mode on here, cooling, auto, or heat pump. A nice feature about the auto selection is it will either heat or cool if you leave it in auto. So you don't have to select heat pump or furnace. It does that for you. Going back to the home screen, TV lift, up and down, lights, select the location you want your lights to come on, or all lights off, or all lights on. AGS is your automatic generator starter. If you want to have the generator come on while you're away from the coach, let's say you might lose power or you're dry camping, you'll have to go into these settings and turn them on here with the red on-off button on, and then go into the setup page for when you want the AGS to operate. If you forget to turn the AGS on here and have that red button illuminated, if it's gray, the AGS will not, the automatic generator starter function or feature will not come on. So as you come into the entrance door, the cabinet above the entrance door is your main control panel for the coach. We'll just go over the panels real quick to tell you what the names of them are, and then we'll come back to each one. The first one in the upper left is your touch panel control for your inverter. It's your Victron inverter, and you just need to touch it to wake it up. In the center here is the Winegard over-the-air TV antenna, and that's just on or off. This is your power control for your coach. This is from Precision Circuits. In the center is your Girard awning control for your patio awnings. And then the rocker switches down on the lower left are your battery disconnect, which you'll need to turn this switch on right away when you come in to have things come on. In the center are your security lights and your step override for your entrance step, equalizer for your jacks and leveling, and then the slide out extend or retract for the front area of the coach. So we'll go into detail now with each one. The one in the upper left, that's your Victron panel. In that panel, you can control the functions of your inverter if the switch on the main inverter is turned on. So there's a small black toggle switch in the center of that Victron inverter in the basement. And as long as that's on, you'll be able to touch this panel and wake it up. Once the panel wakes up, you can see what power is coming in and being used. You can see the main inverter is in bulk charge, what the AC loads are. And if you scroll over, it gives you basically the same readouts, but just on a different type of screen. To dive into the screen and look at any of your settings, change settings, or look at perhaps faults, you would just touch the screen to wake it up. You would just touch the screen, and then now you can see your menu. Press the menu, and you'll see you have a device list. So we can go into that device list and we can look at things like notifications. Go into settings. Once we're into the settings, we can scroll and find which settings we want to view or change here. Firmware, date, times,
system setups, the back arrow takes us back. It shows INV1, that's your inverter. So if you can press that, now you can see what state it's in, what the current limit is set at, 30. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We can see what our DC voltage is, what our current is, and what each line coming in for coach power on the 50 amp short cord is. To exit out of this screen, you can just go back with the back arrow. And then if you want to exit out of the device list and menu, just go to the pages again and you're back on the home screen. The wind guard in the center here is your TV antenna for over-the-air channels. As soon as you turn it on, it scans for channels, and then it displays how many channels are found in the center. When it's scanning, you'll see LED lights going in a circle. If you need to rescan to find additional channels, just press the search button again and it'll go through another search. Once the antenna is locked in to a channel, you can make small adjustments with the arrow here, and that will rotate the antenna a little bit left or right inside the dome. It's a dome type antenna. When we are using the over-the-air wind guard antenna, we're going to be able to watch over-the-air TV, but if we want to watch cable, we have to turn this off. The on-off switch has to be pressed and the LED lights out in order to watch park cable. And you will need to scan the channels for park cable just like you did over-the-air channels on your TV before those channels can be viewed. If you're not watching cable and you want to go back to watching over-the-air channels, just press the button again to turn it back to over-the-air TV. The panel to our right, this is the central monitor panel, which tells you your incoming power. It's the device that will load shed if you happen to be plugged into a smaller than 50 amp short cord, which we don't really recommend, but there might be a time where you have to use an adapter plug to adapt down to a smaller source of power, perhaps 15 or 20 amp. If you do that, this panel only recognizes down to 30. So we're going to show you what you would need to do to make the adjustment in this panel now if we plugged into a smaller, let's say 15 or 20 amp short cord connection with an adapter. So you can see we took the 50 amp short cord and we plugged it into a smaller step down device, and we're now plugged into like what would be like a 20 amp or 15 amp cord. And you can see now it's asking you the question, press set to change. So if we go over here, we can press that center button of the 3 and we can change it to a 20 amp service cord, or if we press it again, we can change it to a 15 amp. So the breaker that's plugged into the short cord that you are using, look at the amperage of that breaker and set it here to match. If we press it again, we go back to 30. 30 is all it can recognize down to. So if you're using a smaller amperage than the 30, you'll have to set that. In addition to those settings, if we scroll up or down, we can see the other screens, our load statuses. We can see which ones are off, which ones are on. And this means that's showing us which ones are shed, Right here it shows shed 6 and the name of each one that's off. So what this panel does is it turns things off so that you don't trip the breaker when you're plugged into a lower amperage setting like we are now at 15 amps. Again, we recommend a 50 amp shore cord, but if you plug into something smaller, go into this setting and make that adjustment here to either the 20 or 15 amp. To the right is your solar panel prep. The wires are run behind this panel. So if you need to add a solar panel controller into this area, you'll need to take these screws out in the panel and bring it down and get access to those wires, and then you would install your panel here. When you first enter the coach, we mentioned earlier, you would want to turn your battery disconnect on for your house batteries to supply power in your coach for your lighting, which is 12 volt. If you're exiting the coach and you're going to have everything turned off for a day or two, you'd want to turn this off. The entrance lock here for the door and your baggage door locks here. Step cover. If you look down where the steps are, there is a type of floor that extends out to cover the steps. That's why it's called a step cover, so that you can walk in this area without going down the steps. So if I press that, the step comes out, extends, and then it goes up and locks in place. It does that automatically. I can release once it's locked in place. Now I can step in this area without going down the steps. To retract it or store it, just go in the opposite direction. It drops down and retracts. Press and hold it until it shuts off. Block heater is to preheat your engine on cold starts. Patio light is the patio light exterior and a step light. The security lights are all here, named driver, passenger, and rear. And the step override we'll show you when we go outside, but it keeps the steps out even when the door is closed. Our leveling system is equalizer. To turn it on, you'll have to power it up. And then you would choose either to level it manually here with these buttons, or simply press the auto level button and it would go into a leveling process. You would want to do the leveling process after you extend the slide outs. And we'll show you a little bit more about that later as well. When you're finished operating the leveling system, you can just power it down. In order for your system to operate, the ignition will need to be turned on, as well as you pressing the power button to turn the system on. When you're finished, you can just press it again to turn it off. When you're ready to store the jacks, the all retract button would be the one that you press, and then all of the jacks would retract into the store position. The LED lights on the left-hand side are on whenever one of those functions is in operation. If you see the excessive slope light, that means you'll need to park in a more level area before the jacks will be able to extend. The slide out panel to my right at the lower panel here is for the slide outs in the front of the coach. They're labeled off door side and door side. The door side is the passenger, the off door side is the driver side. Out is extend and in is retract. Again, before you extend or retract either slide out, you want to make sure there's nothing in the way, whether you're opening or closing it, or above the awning, in the area above the awning where the slide top or fabric would be. There are additional instructions and warning labels here on the right. If you need more details, you can read those as far as the operation or refer to your operator's manual. So when you enter the coach or exit the coach, there is a switch here for turning all of the overhead lights on in the living room area or that are connected to the KIB system just by the press of the button down for off or up for on. Just below that is the fire extinguisher. To release this handle, pull towards you and then grab the fire extinguisher if you need to use it. Putting it back same way and then press to clasp. As we enter in the kitchen area, we have our pantry here and drawers. These are push to release drawers. Right now they're locked. If you try to open them or pull them, you have to push in and then they release. And then push them all the way in to lock. So we're moving over into the kitchen area now. Here at the sink, we have an extension that you can fold up to add to the countertop. And it has two arms on the bottom here to lock it. Just pull those arms down. And then that locks that countertop in place. Below that is a 120 volt outlet. You'll notice in the center here, there's a reset button because it's GFCI protected, just like all the ones in the kitchen. Below that is storage. To fold this down, just lift up slightly, unlock the arms on both sides, and then just lower it down. There's more storage here on the bottom. Small fold-out drawer. And the sink covers can be removed and stored down here. The sink is telescoping, on off, hot and cold. The shade here at the kitchen window is just pull down and release to open. It has the crank open here for fresh air with the screen. There are additional 120 volt outlets here above the sink. It's also GFCI protected, and more cabinet space above. In the back here on these placards, we have the colors that we used from BASF, the Newmar serial number, the gross vehicle weight information, and important notices. This plug is for the Whirlpool microwave. If you need to unplug it or remove it, you can just pull the plug here. Below the microwave, we have your induction cooktop. On the back side of the cover is a cutting board. So you have a cutting board that you can use on both sides. And then the induction cooktop requires a magnetic type pan. This is actually a portable cooktop, so you could take it outside, remove it just by lifting up and unplugging it right here. And then you can take it out After you're finished with it, bring it back in, plug it in, lower it, make sure it's cool, and then put the covers back on. If you happen to turn it on and there's no pan or cookware here on the top, it will automatically, the LED lights will go out within a few seconds of you turning it on because there's nothing there. So you can see it went off. So just put these panels back on when you're finished. The drawer below the induction cooktop has all of your remotes and keys with tools. And extra key fobs. Whole house filter wrench. HVAC overhead panel pull down rod. USB stick for your awnings manual for Girard. And tools to adjust the Girard motors or for emergency retraction. Below that is the dishwasher, Fisher Paykel brand. To open it, you'll have to turn it on to unlock the door. Right now, if I tried to open it, it's locked. As soon as I turn it on, you can hear the door unlock. You can see the LED lights light up. Now I can open it, load it, unload it, go into wash settings. If you want to childproof it while it's on, press the lock button, and then everything is locked and it's childproof. To unlock it, press it again, hold, and it goes out. Now you can operate it again. Before you travel, we recommend that you turn this off so the door relocks, because you don't want this to slide open when you're traveling or turning a corner. So press it to turn off. You can hear the door lock. Now you can't open the door, so it won't open in travel. We're here at the Whirlpool triple door refrigerator. The doors will open unless the center lock is to the left. Now the doors are locked. That's the way you want to have the lock, in the left position when you're traveling, or actually before you travel. When you get to your destination, then you would unlock the doors to use the refrigerator. The refrigerator has 3 different filters. The filter for the water is this one, and just press to insert and then close the water filter door. The other 2 filters are for the fresh flow air in the back of the refrigerator and for the smaller one canister that you mount in the refrigerator here. The freezer is at the base and the ice maker tray is here. To turn the refrigerator on or off, right now the cooling system is off. To turn it on, you'll press and hold the freezer temp and freezer, or fridge temp and freezer temp at the same time. And you can see the snowflakes appear. Once that happens, the refrigerator is on, and we can adjust the temperature here to colder in the freezer or colder in the refrigerator. The water dispenser's here. Just press here, the water will come out. There is an additional light backlighting here for that dispenser area. We can reset the water filter. Here, if we change a water filter, we just reset, and then it will tell you when that filter needs to be replaced again. Same with the air filter here. To turn the refrigerator off, just press the freezer temp and fridge temp at the same time. Hold for a couple seconds, and now the refrigerator's off. In the hallway here, just before the bedroom, is our control panel. It's our 10-inch monitor panel, and to wake it up, just touch it. This is the same type of touch panel that you saw earlier towards the front of the coach. It does the same things, it's just a larger screen. When you touch it, it wakes up and lights up like it is now. And you'll notice here at the bottom the icons of selection. Those can be pressed and then it goes to that screen. So there's the home screen, the automatic generator start screen, the floor heat screen, the HVAC, which is heating and cooling, Bluetooth, and that pairs your phone or your smart device with this panel, so you can actually control it on your phone if you get the app, and your lighting controls. So if I press any one of those, starting let's say with the home screen, that takes me to the home page where I can turn on and off the water pump. When I touch that, you'll notice it turned a dark red. That means it's on. If I press it again, that means the gray is meaning that that switch is off. So anytime you press one of these to turn on and off, it should turn red, and that tells you that it's on. If you press it again, like I said, it will go gray, and that means it's off. These are your tanks, fresh, gray, and black, and they're at 0%. Well, the fresh is at 5. House battery, chassis battery voltages, and these are your living room and kitchen controls for your lighting. Bedroom, bathroom, and master. We can turn our lights on here, all on or off, and then our TV lifts up and down from the home screen. Then we can go in individually and we can set our generator to come on at a certain time or at a certain voltage level. So let's say you want to leave the coach, but you want to make sure that your pets stay cool or warm with the heat pump function. You'd want to enable the AGS function and then go into your setup to set the time that they would start. That way, in case you lose power in your coach, the generator will automatically start and still operate those 110 volt appliances. Moving over to the floor heat, it shows front, middle, and back, and these can be turned on here, and then you adjust the temperature here. They're not an actual temperature setting, just a range of low, medium, or high. Moving to the HVAC, it tells us what the inside temperature is and what you want to set it to for the living room. If we want to set the bedroom, we have to press the bedroom. It turns red. Now we can set the bedroom temperature here. Once we set the temperature, we have to select the mode that we want it to operate in. Our next icon over is our Bluetooth. We would use our smart device and follow these instructions from 1 through 7 to connect to the smart device through the Newmar app. And then once we have the app on that device, we would just press this button to pair. You can see the Bluetooth is flashing, and that will pair that device. And then you'll be able to operate through that device all these controls. Our last icon over is the lighting control, and you can select the room individually here, or you can do the master controls for the lights all on or all off. So if you want your automatic generator starter to work and you've traveled to a different time zone than what was originally set on this screen, jump back to the HVAC screen to change the time. Once we're at the HVAC screen, we can go into Setup, and we can press Set Time, and we can change the time to the zone that we're in. That way it will match when the generator comes on or shouldn't come on for the settings you make at the park, so that you don't have the generator running during the quiet time hours. Just below that, we have our fantastic vent here for the overhead fan in the kitchen. To turn it on and off, the fan button is up on the top, but if you just wanted to open the lid and let the air go out just by itself, you can open the lid here, and that will lift the lid, and then the air will just gradually move out of your coach. To turn a fan speed on, then you would have to press the up and down arrows here after you turn the fan on. So now the lid's open. I can set my speed of the fan here. You can hear that going down lower. If for any reason the lid won't open, fan won't come on, there is a rain sensor on the outside. If that has a little moisture on it, the fan won't operate and the lid won't work, won't open. You can override that by pressing and holding down the down button until you see that red light come on. That means you have overridden the rain sensor. You might have to do that in the full bath if you're taking a hot shower, a lot of moisture in the air, and it can trip the rain sensor to not open. If you want to turn the rain sensor override off, just press the same button, 3 seconds, and now the rain sensor would be activated again. So this is our fan speed here. This is just the lid up and down. To have the fan speed working, you have to press the blue button on top. To close it, all we have to do is turn it off with the blue button. The lid and the fan will shut off and the lid closes. Near the floor is our InterVac system. If we have material that we want to sweep up with the broom, we can just open this and sweep. If we want to connect our hose and attachments, we do that right here. There is a warning label there just to remind you that the filter bag needs to be installed in the InterVac in the baggage compartment area before you use it. And we did that, so once you do that, you can remove that tag and install your hose. With your coach, you have your InterVac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, you just plug it in, and then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the InterVac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away, but be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on. So here at the half bath, as we enter, the doors on the inside wall on the back, just above the window, are the 12-volt fuses with the legend of what they power up. Beside that is our breaker panel with all of the breakers, and all of the appliances are labeled for each one. Above that is your GFCI breakers for your floor heat, front and rear. For these appliances to operate, the main breaker here at the top has to be turned on, which is this way. If you decide you need to turn one of them off, let's say the microwave, we just come over here and press to the left. To turn it back on, just go to the right. If a breaker is tripped and you need to reset it, it won't be quite all the way over to the left. It may only be tripped like in the mid area. In that case, you would have to move it all the way over to the left and then back to the right to turn it on. That's how you reset it. For the fuses, the legend for each one is on the right-hand inside door panel. If any one of these appliances or motors is not working, you would go to that fuse, remove the fuse for that number. In this case, it's F9. If the fuse is blown, it will not be attached in the center. Get the same size up here in the spare fuses and replace it. Push it back in and press. These two fuses at the bottom are actually mini breakers. They're like a fuse, but you can reset them. If the yellow tab in the center pops out towards you, all you need to do to reset that is press the yellow tab in, and that will reset that mini breaker. In the center here is the control module that allows you to connect your smartphone or other device to the monitor control panel. And that's done via the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. There is a button here that you can press to pair. You can also press to pair it right at the panel in the hallway at the 10-inch panel. The fantastic vent in the bathroom or the other locations in the kitchen or the full bath can be controlled on the wall or manually just by turning the black knob to the left. Once you do that, it opens the lid and the fan will come on. You can close it, rotate it clockwise, closes the lid, and turns the fan off at the same time. If the fan isn't working or the lid won't open and the fan won't come on, there is a fuse here. Press up and turn left to check that fuse, replace it if needed, and then push up and rotate to lock it back in place. Additional storage here in this cabinet. There is an access plate. That's your satellite prep. This is the receiver for the Starlink. Below that is additional storage. Our Dometic flush module. This controls the water level in the bowl and flushing the toilet. Just press once to flush. As long as the LED light at the top is green or amber, you can flush. If it turns red below it, that means that the black tank is full and you would have to empty the black tank before you could flush. So once the LED light below the green one goes amber, that's a warning you're about 3/4 tank, black tank full. And once it's red, it's completely full and you'll need to empty the sewer tank. This is the bathroom window, which is the same as the others, is cranked to open and close. And the shade, of course, is manual. Just pull down to lock. On my left is the medicine cabinet, overhead lighting, vanity lighting, water pump, backlighting, and adjustment for high or low. The heater fan is for the one behind me at the floor level to turn the heat on here in the bathroom. We can press that, and as long as the ITR Oasis is on, then you'll have heat coming here in the bathroom at the floor level. This fan can be turned on or off depending on how warm you want the bathroom. There's a 120 volt outlet here, on, off, hot and cold, and more storage here below the sink. The same fantastic control is here in the bathroom as you saw in the kitchen. To turn it on is just pressing the blue button in the center. If for any reason it's not coming on, it may be slightly damp or moist, this controls the speed. But if for some reason the fan wasn't opening the lid and coming on, there may be moisture on the rain sensor. And to override that rain sensor, you'll notice in the center it says rain sensor and it has a little LED light. If you press the down arrow and hold it a few seconds, you can override that rain sensor. Just remember that if you override the rain sensor and it starts to rain, you may have water coming in that vent lid. To turn the override sensor off, press the same down arrow again. And now the rain sensor override is off. To turn the fan off completely, just press the top blue button again and the fan shuts off and the lid closes. So when you enter into the bedroom, there is a door here, a sliding door that you can close for privacy. To unlock it, it's in the closed or travel position now. It's locked. It locks at the top. To unlock it, just look at that arrow, push down, it says to unlock. Now the door will slide closed. And it locks in this position. So now it's locked from going open. To unlock it, you have to press down to open. And it relocks back in this position at the top. And that's your travel position before you move the coach. Here on my right is the extend retract switch for the slide out. It says in and out, that's extend and retract. Before you operate the slide out, we have some warnings. Keep in mind that you want to check clearance outside the coach before you extend, and before you retract, you want to make sure there's nothing in the way of it retracting or at the top above the slide out room between the fabric, which is the slide topper fabric, and the roof of the slide. Once you do that, then you would be able to operate it either extending or retracting. And having the coach on air ride, if you have an air ride suspension system, is the first thing you'd want to do, is have the coach aired up before you run the slide out. Inside the closet here, you'll notice there's a Newmar bag, which has all of your coach information. This comes with every coach. All of your plumbing, heating, exterior electrical, and appliance information with your owner's operator's manuals are in here. And we recommend that you go through these and read them, along with taking the registration cards for your warranty and either registering your appliance online or sending in the card in the mail. In addition to those information cards that come inside of that case, there is another placard that we put on the inside wall here with every model and serial number of all the appliances that come with the coach on that back wall. So if you happen to need a replacement on an appliance and you don't know the model, we put that inside. Below that closet, we have another audio-visual cabinet here for this TV with a 120 volt outlet and plug for your source. Pull out drawers. 120 volt outlet here. Emergency exit window here. In case you need to exit the back or rear of the coach and you need to go out this window, to unlock it is just press down, pull out, push, and then remove the screen here. And then we could just push this all the way out to exit the coach. If we're just wanting some fresh air, we can leave the screen in and leave this handle in the locked open position for air. Another hanging closet and drawers below. There's the 120 volt outlet and cord that's plugged into this TV at the top. So in the bedroom on the ceiling is the CO2 detector. It functions pretty much the same as the smoke detector. To test is press here and listen to the tones to make sure the battery's charged. If you don't hear the tones, you'll have to check the battery by pinching the sides together and pulling down, and then taking the battery out if it needs to be replaced. Put a new one back in and then close and retest. On the back wall here is your HVAC temp sensor for the bedroom area. You have nightstands on both sides of the bed with 120 volt outlets and storage area below. This is the louver vent for the ITR Oasis convector for heating. Overhead cabinets here with access ports in case you might need to run a cord or a hose down for, like, say, a CPAP machine. You could do that and plug it in on the back wall there on the 120 volt outlet and then just run the cords down through here. Underneath, there's another control panel here. This control panel is like the ones at the theater seating, smaller but does the same controls. And our security light switches are here. The shades operate the same way. The windows are not a crank out on the end walls in this slide out. They're just a pull lever and then lift and then once we lift it up, it will lock into position, and then there's 2 clips that you release to put it back down and then push to relock. If you need to change or replace this picture, the panel is held up by Velcro, so you just pull to release and lift. The overhead panel is the same as the one in the living room that you'll have to release down and access the filters to clean them. The bed has a lift, and underneath is the storage. So once we lift that up, the shocks hold it in place. These small holes are for 2 access panels to go under the bed to access the motor and controls. The air mattress is adjustable. The remote for the air mattress can be adjusted for firm or soft, side 1 and side 2, left, right, and you can press the memory for that as well. So as we move into the bathroom, our first closet area here is our Splendid washer and dryer. The dryer is stacked at the top. Adjustment here for heat and cycle time. The dryer is stacked at the top with the cycle time and heat setting here. The washer is at the base. If you're going to do the wash, we've put a special notice here to remove the outside drain cap before operating the washing machine. All of the water that comes out of this washing machine goes into the gray tank, and you want to have the gray tank gate valve open and the hose connected to the city sewer so that the water that discharges goes all the way out of the gray tank and doesn't fill the gray tank up. If you don't have the cap open and connected to the sewer, the gray tank will back up and will start coming into your shower. We don't want that. The controls are here, and when it's turned on, it displays in this window. There's another drawer here at the base. The house safe is here. It comes with keys, and it comes with a generic code, so you'll need to set up your own code. Just refer to your operator's manual for your safe. More storage area down below here. On the back wall, there's an access panel. If we pull this up, you can see the plugs for the washer and dryer along with the hose connections are there. And more drawer space here. And the medicine cabinet here with mirrors. 2 power outlets here, 120 volt, on, off, hot and cold. Heat convector here. And the shower has a lock. This is a travel lock. You want to have this in the lock position before you travel. If I leave it up, now I can open and close the glass doors. There is a magic mushroom Located at the base, it's a dark blue color now. What this does is it has a system built in which recirculates the water until it gets hot. Then you could take your shower. It saves fresh water. So as long as your ITR Oasis is turned on and your water is going to be heated, you would turn this to the recycling position and leave it on recirculate until this turns a white opaque color, and then the hot water is available here. So once you recycle, the water's turned on, this will turn white, then you can take your shower. If you turn this back to the left, as long as this is over here, the water is just recirculating back to the fresh tank. When I'm ready to shower, we turn it to the left, and the water will be hot as soon as we turn this on. You want to leave this in the on position for showering when you're hooked up to city water. Otherwise, your tank will overflow. So here in the rear bath, we have the same type of toilet and flush control module as we did in the half bath. But you'll notice here there is an exit door. So this door actually opens all the way out so that you can have an emergency exit here in the bathroom. So we're going to demonstrate that. There is a small window here for air circulation with the screen open and close. If we need to exit here in an emergency, we will have to unlock both the deadbolt lock and the door handle lock. So we would have to unlock it and unlock this. So this one to the left, this one to the right. Now we can open the door to exit. It's obviously a high jump, so Newmar installed a ladder. This panel can be removed and lifted out of the way. Now you can take the Velcro loose here. If I loosen this Velcro, I can lift the ladder out, open the door all the way, and the ladder will, this is your emergency exit ladder, will extend. Now I can exit out of the coach in an emergency. To store the ladder back in its original position, it just telescopes like this. Telescope it back, closed. And then put our Velcro back in and replace the panel cover. It has magnets here that hold it. And close the door. Once the door is closed, we want to relock the deadbolt and the door handle. Now we're ready to travel. So we're standing outside the coach now, and we're going to demonstrate how to open the engine compartment. It has two locking levers on both sides. So this is a rubber type handle. We just put our hand underneath, lift up, and that releases the lock. All right. So now we've already released the one on the other side. So we go to the front, and there's a built-in handle on top of the hood. So we just reach down and then pull towards you to open. Now you'll be able to check your fluid levels in your engine coolant. This is your air filter.
your wiper wash solution. This is your air dryer filter. This is the access to your headlamp bulbs, turn signals, and marker lights at the front. Over here you have your power steering, fuse and relay panel, oil dipstick to check your oil levels in your engine. This is your fuel filter.
So when we're finished with accessing the engine or servicing the engine area, we just grab a hold here and push to close. And then on both sides, we want to relock, put this latch underneath here and pull down to lock. We're at the front of the coach, and at the very top of the cap are your marker lights, and then you have additional marker lights on the side, your turn signals, headlights, and front view camera. In the center, at the bumper area, is your Detroit Assurance System sensor, along with the one in the windshield. And these help you with collision mitigation and adaptive cruise. They should be kept free of ice and snow to work properly. So inside the driver door, we have turned on the light test switch. Once you do that, you can walk around the coach and make sure that each one of your turn signals, headlights, and brake lights are working and lit up. If you see one that's not, you'll need to change a bulb. Once you're finished checking the lights in the front and rear and all the marker lights in the coach, then you can turn your test switch off. So we're looking at the mirrors. They're the same design on both sides. They're adjustable from the inside on the upper inside mirror, but they're manually adjustable here. Just by loosening the mount, you can adjust it more if you need to. And you can also adjust the one here for your step mirror at the top of the window. The lock to enter and exit the door is your main ignition key, lock and unlock. If we open the door, the lock is up here on the handle, which we can use the electric lock. Here is your side view camera. This camera will turn on whenever you're making a turn to the passenger side or to the right. The opposite one comes on when you put your turn signal on to go into the left lane or the driver's side. This has a key, which is a Trimark key. On this model, it's the 2002 number. This is to access the fuel tank here to fill with diesel. And just behind that is the diesel fuel filter for the ITR Oasis and the ITR Oasis overflow bottle just behind the fuel tank. To close, just rotate the lock back to the right to lock. So the awning control for the large patio awnings at the top of the coach can either be controlled with the handheld remote here, or at the entrance, there's a control in the overhead. The L, once it's turned on, means it's locked, so I would want to unlock it. And then I'm given the option of either 0 for a channel, 1 or 2. So 1 is the front awning, 2 is the rear. If I select 0, then both awnings can be controlled at the same time. So let's go with 0. for both awnings, and let's select out and press the out button. And you can see both awnings will come out at the same time. If I have limited space and I need to stop the awnings from traveling, just press the stop button here and they'll both stop. If I want to just run one in or one of them out, I can go into the selection of channel just to the one and press out to continue to go out with one or the other. Again, just press stop to stop. There is a light button here for lighting, the LED lights, on and off. Or if I go to channel 0 again and I press the light, they'll both come on at the same time or off at the same time. To run them both back in, as long as I'm on 0, they'll both go in. If I just press the in, now they'll both retract. Let's stop just for a second and look at the tools that come with your coach to make adjustments to the motor. That would be this handle. This handle adjusts the limit on the motor for how far it extends or how tight it closes. And this is the emergency retraction or extension for both awnings or either one. Let's go to the center motor to see the location where this adjustment's made. At the end of each motor is a small screw Allen head that you can adjust the extension and retraction of each awning. At the very top of each awning, which you'll have to get on top of the roof, there's a small rubber plug that you remove and then insert this into either end of the awning there at the center, and as you rotate that, the awning will retract without the motor doing that for you. This is all manual, so you would have to have a screw gun or a wrench to turn that to retract the awning or extend it. And that would be in case of an emergency or power loss. So we're going to run both awnings in. We go to 0 again and we press in, and now both awnings will retract. If the awnings are out, let's say that we have them out and it's a windy day, they have a built-in safety feature which is a vibration sensor or shake sensor. If the wind starts to move the awning too much up and down, the awning will automatically close. We'll demonstrate that. To demonstrate the operation of how the awning closes on a windy day, there's a shake sensor, but in order for that feature to work, the coach has to have power to the motor, and that would mean that you would either need to be plugged in or your inverters turned on, because those are 120 volt motors. So the emergency feature of closing in a windstorm will only work if you're powered up short cord wise or your inverter on. So I'll demonstrate how the awning might shake in a windy environment, and then you'll see the awning automatically close. So now it's getting windy, and the awning will close automatically. You'll notice only the front awning is closing because the rear one wasn't shaking, just the front. And it will continue to close all the way even if I tried to control it now to stop, because the wind shake sensor is activated, it's going to continue to close all the way. So to close the rear awning, we just go to channel number 2 and press in, and that awning will close. So we're at the passenger side first baggage door. So the 2002 key, which is the same one as the fuel access door, is the one for the door locks on the baggage doors. Lock and unlock. Unlock and lock. Or you can use the electric locks and unlock or lock them at the same time in the overhead. In this first compartment, we have the light switch, the manual light switch, on and off. We have the auxiliary air hose that comes with your coach. We have the on-off switch for the auxiliary air pump. Our water line going to our outside spigot for hot water. This has to be turned vertically in order for water to come down to the hot water spigot, and then of course just open and close for the hot water. To get hot water here, the ITR Oasis has to be turned on with the burner on. Our next compartment back is more storage. Here at the entrance door, you have the steps that open when the door is open, and that's done via the magnetic switch on the door. So when this magnet lines up with the magnetic switch, it opens. To override that, if you want the steps to remain out, in the overhead is the step switch, which we can turn that switch on. It's the exterior step switch. Now when I close the door, the steps will stay out. When you're parked, that is a good feature to have, because then the steps don't keep going in and out as you enter and exit the coach. If you want to close the door softly, let's say someone's taking a nap, you can actually close it and it will still latch in the first latch. There's actually two latches. The first latch is soft close and the second latch is travel. So the first one, if you just want to close it soft in case someone's sleeping, just close it soft like that. It's actually latched, but not for travel. If you want to close it into the second latch, then you have to close it firmly. Now you can see the trim is flush and you won't have any air noise as long as the door is closed into the second latch. To open the screen door and close it independent of the main entrance door, there's a release handle right here. Once you press that down, it unlocks, and now you can close it. You can open it from the same handle on the inside or right here, and then it locks back in place here. It will open and close as long as it's latched with the main door. The keys to lock and unlock, the deadbolt at the top and the door handle lock at the bottom. The Trimark, larger one is the deadbolt for the top. Unlock and lock, that's your deadbolt. And then for the door, it's the 1141. Lock and unlock. In addition to locking and unlocking the door with your keys manually, the large one, Trimark for the deadbolt, or the door lock here at the bottom one, when you open the door on the inside, you can lock it with the red lever here. That's your door lock and unlock. So we can lock that before we exit and close if we like. If we're inside and we want to lock the deadbolt, just turn this to the right and the deadbolt will lock. To unlock, just turn to the left. Make sure it's retracted if you happen to move it when the door is open, because you don't want that pin to break off when you close the door. I can take the key fob here and I can lock and unlock the door lock with the entry lock here. Lock and unlock. I can't lock and unlock the deadbolt. That has to be done manually or with this key from the outside. So now it's unlocked, the deadbolt's retracted. I can close the door. If I want to lock the door now and exit the coach, I can do that now. Close the door, and you'll notice here the door is locked. So I can use the key fob to unlock it. Entry, unlock. Now I can open, or I could use the key. In addition to those two ways, there's another way you can use the handle to lock and unlock the door lock, not the deadbolt. When you get your Newmar coach, the code to unlock the door lock is 123441. So let's lock the door by pressing number 1. You can hear it lock along with the baggage doors. Now let's unlock it. Press the code 123441, and you can hear the door unlock. If we want to use that same code and unlock the door and the baggage compartments at the same time, it's the exact same code, except at the end, instead of pressing 1, you press 2, because it opens both. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2 unlocks the door and the baggage compartments at the same time. So the Newmar code that comes with your coach should be changed to one that you can remember, and you should write it down. You need to use a 5-digit number code, and to enter a new authority code, you would open this compartment here, and there's a panel in the back where the Trimark control module is. Behind this panel. Within about a foot of that panel is a black button that you press, and then this will start to send a beeping tone that tells you it's ready to be reset with a new number. When you hear that and this is beeping, you would enter your 5-digit number one time and then enter it a second time, and then that code is your new code. Again, write that code down because it's easy to forget sometimes. Once your new code is set, make sure and give that out to only the people that you trust, but it will override the code that Newmar put in when you took delivery of your coach. Above the entrance door is your patio light, and just to the rear of the entrance door is your side view camera for the 360 degrees. Your security light behind that. Your kitchen window marker light. And we had this compartment open earlier. This is your Dometic refrigerator freezer. It can be operated on either 120 volt or 12 volt, as long as you plug both of them in. When the shore cord is plugged in, it will automatically switch over to the 120 volt. If your shore cord's not in, there's a relay that Newmar installs and it switches over to the 12-volt operation. There is a QR code that you can scan for more information on how to operate it. The touch panel controls are right here at the front. And you'll notice here it has a USB connection on the left-hand side. This can be removed just by lifting it up and out. It's on Velcro. Our next compartment back is a lift up. This is your entertainment center and your fresh tank low point drain. The entertainment center has a Bose speaker for the TV volume to come out, or you can connect this independently with Bluetooth and the remote inside the kitchen drawer that we showed you earlier. To adjust this, just pull out and rotate. When you're finished, push it back and a magnet holds it in place. So in our next compartment back, we have our InterVac system. You can attach your accessories here if you want to clean with your accessory kit, which is here. In this tray, Newmar includes extra tile that are the same lot number and color as in your floor inside. That way, in case you need to replace a tile, you've got the right color and size. The awning rod that we include is for the window awnings to pull down and lock in place. This is for your towing hitch to change the size. And on the back wall here is all of your lighting controls. The lighting control system. So these are the lighting control boards. Whenever you turn a light on with the switch or panel on the inside, a corresponding LED will light up just below that wire, and when that circuit is turned on, when the LED light goes out, that light circuit is turned off. Just above where this slides in to close, the tank heat pads plug is here. As long as your plug is plugged in to your tank heat pads, your heating pads will work as long as they have the minimum amount of gallons in those tanks. There are additional control modules here going back to the TMS C100, which is your main control panel on your interior displays. There is a cover. We'll show you how that was taken off so that you can put that back on before you close it. It's a plexiglass cover, and it has these retaining screws that you just turn clockwise to put the cover back on. Once your cover's back on, this will slide back, unlock here, and then it relocks when it's closed. In our last compartment on the passenger side, of course, that has the InterVac accessories, and the two white modules here are for your awning, your patio awnings for your Girard that we showed you the remote control for. If for any reason the remote control was not working and you wanted to open and close either the front or the rear patio awning, You can do that manually right here. Open and close are the arrows on the ends, and in the center the button is stop. So if I do that, if I press that button, you'll notice the awning is extending. If I press the center, it stops, and the opposite one is closed. Of course, this is our interior light. This lever is the release lever for the rear compartment latch. If I pull that, you can hear that compartment opens. We want to make sure when we do that there's nothing in the way. In this rear compartment, this is just a storage compartment area here below and shelves for more storage with light at the top. To close this compartment is just reach up and push down to latch. At the top of the rear cap, of course, is your marker lights, your rear security lights, your rear view camera, your third brake light, brake lights, turn signals, and reflectors. So here to hook up your trailer lights, we have the 7-pin round or the standard Bargman plug. And we have the 4-pin flat. In our rear compartment door on the driver's side, we have more storage and light here on off. The sewer drain for both the gray and the black tank are here, so you'd have to hook up your hose here, and the control, the rocker switch to open this valve is in the water bay compartment. We're going to go and take a look at that, but in the event that the motor didn't actuate or open, you can manually open it by taking this cable loose and pull the lever down to drain it. Just forward of the wheel is the storage compartment for the sewer hose. Of course, our marker light there. And this is our water bay compartment. You'll notice there is no hose to connect to drain the sewer because that was the door behind us, behind that wheel. So once we connect our hose to the sewer drain there, then we could operate the black tank open or the gray tank open valves here. There is a small mini breaker. If either one of the valves is not working, you can check and see if those are tripped and then just reset them here if they are. Each tank is labeled. This, of course, is the gray. It's labeled here and here. So that's the control for the gate valve for the gray tank, and this is the control rocker switch for the black tank. So as soon as you turn that on, those gate valves open, and the tank, whatever effluent's in that gray tank or black tank, will drain to that rear location. Once you've drained the black tank, which is the sewage tank, you can connect a hose here and flush or spray the inside of the tank to clean out all of the effluent. It'll go out the same gate valve that's in the rear. If you do that, you want to make sure that that valve is open. Once you're done with the rinse, you can disconnect your hose here, close this. If you'll notice at the bottom, there is a pickup tank for the gray water that comes out of the kitchen area. In order for that to push water into the gray tank, the 120 volt cord to your coach, which is your 50 amp cord, needs to be connected, or your inverter needs to be turned on. Otherwise, the water coming from the kitchen won't go out of that tank into the gray tank. Just to the left of our fresh tank fill is our water filtration system. So before we fill with fresh water, we want to put our filter in here. To do that, we want to release the lock and rotate this with the filter wrench inside the coach. It's the white wrench in your drawer in the kitchen. Insert the filter, the whole house filter, and then reinsert this. And that way we're going to filter all of the fresh water that's coming into the coach or filling our freshwater tank. Put our lock pin back in. So once we get our filter installed, we're ready to hook up the water to the coach. That comes through this hose. So we'd hook this up to the water supply, and want to make sure that when we hook that up to a water supply, it's not over 60 psi pressure. Once we have that water hooked up, we're ready to fill the freshwater tank. We can do that right here by going to manual fill, and then the water will go through here, through the hose, through our filter into the freshwater tank and fill it up. If we want to have it automatically fill when it starts to drop lower to a lower level, we can leave it in the autofill position. And the note here is autofill must be enabled at the monitor panel. So if we choose autofill, we have to go into the panel inside and choose the autofill function and make sure that that button is turned on and not gray. It'll be red when that's turned on. Once we have this turned on into the autofill, the water pressure that's coming in will give us fresh water in the house. If we leave this into the manual fill, the water that's going into the fresh tank will completely fill up and may overfill the tank. There's a drain at the bottom. If we see water coming on the bottom of the coach, it's not an emergency. It's just that you'll need to close this to stop filling the fresh tank. Once the fresh tank is full, we want to turn the valve to the right or autofill, and then if we're dry camping, we would turn our water pump on so that we'd have water pressure in the house. If we're connected to a water source and we're not dry camping, we would not have to turn the water pump on because the water pressure coming in here through the filter would be going into the house as long as this valve is turned to the right. If we need to rinse anything here, we have the accessory here for the shower, for the outside shower, hot and cold. If we want to winterize the coach, the winterizing instructions are right here. We would first drain the low points, hot and cold water, open those up, let all the water in the coach drain out, and then go through these winterizing instructions, which tell you to rotate this valve A and valve B opposite. Insert this into a potable antifreeze, turn the water pump on, and then the antifreeze will go in the coach, and you will need to turn on all of the appliances and all of the faucets and shower, anything that has fresh water going to it, so that the antifreeze will winterize inside of your coach in all the areas. Once that's done, we reverse the valves and cap the end of the hose. When we're finished with the water, the hose has a electric motor reel. To retract the hose, we press here to retract. then there's a small cap that we can put on the end of that hose. In our next compartment forward is our own-end generator. This is a diesel generator. It will only operate if we have a quarter tank of fuel in our main fuel tank. The pickup line for this generator only goes down inside that main fuel tank to the quarter level. That's just a safety way that Newmar builds in so that the generator won't use up all your fuel, and then you'll be stuck wherever you're at without fuel to drive your coach to a filling station. So if for some reason your generator is not starting or running, make sure you have more than a quarter tank of diesel fuel. The on-off or start switch is here. If you want to do it from the outside, you can. Start it. It's priming and preheating now. And then to stop is press down. This supplies your same type of energy or power, 120 volt, into the coach for all of your appliance needs, as long as this breaker is turned up or on. If for some reason this is down, the generator could be running, but you won't have power in the house. So if you don't have power in the house, reset this breaker if needed. If it's tripped down or off, just turn it back on and you should have power. Our next compartment forward is our battery compartment. The batteries are on a tray so that they can be pulled out and serviced if needed. Just take the two locking pins out of the sliding tray and you should be able to pull those right out and service. These are maintenance-free batteries, even though they have these what looks like caps on. These are not removable. These are glass mat batteries. They're not lead acid, so they shouldn't really need any solution to be filled, so they don't need any of the caps removed. What you can watch is the terminals. If they become dirty, you can clean those terminals. The batteries are connected to fuses. If for some reason you're not getting house power from your battery bank, the fuse can be checked simply by checking power here, incoming. If there's no power on the other side, then that fuse, either one, might need to be checked or replaced. If you do need to change the batteries and you take a wire off and you're not sure where it went, the schematic for the battery wiring is right here. When you're finished in this compartment, just push it to close and lock. In our next compartment forward, we have our pump for our jacks. The fluid that goes into the reservoir can be checked here at the tank by unscrewing the cap. Has a dipstick so we can check the fluid level, add to it if needed, and replace the cap. And you want to check that fluid level when the jacks are all retracted. Forward of that is our ITR Oasis hydronic heating system. This heats your water, so you have hot water in the coach, and it also heats the convectors so that you have forced air. This has to be turned on outside in order for your inside panels to be used to control your heat. So if you don't see a green light here, you have to come out and press this button and turn it on. So if that's on, you'll be able to operate the coach inside. If that's off, you have to turn it on here. For any of the igniter, flame out, voltage, or low water warnings, if those lights come on, they will come on red, a solid red. If you see a solid red light there, that igniter or low water issue, whatever those red lights match up to, that will have to be serviced. If any of these green lights at the top are flashing green, they need service. So you want to see solid green here, and you don't want to see any lights that are red down here. There is an additional panel that Newmar supplies with the coach. If the panel inside is not operating, so you don't have hot water or you don't have heat, you can connect this to this cord, and you can operate it manually just like you would in the panel inside for heat and hot water. You'll notice there are green lights here when the pumps are on or other functions are working or operating. If you see a red light on this panel, oh, it's screwed in. If you see a red light, not green, on this panel, it's a silver box, there are fuses behind the faceplate, and the faceplate can be taken off. And on the left and right are the same type of fuses that are in your half bath. So if for some reason you would see that red light on zone 5 or heat loop 1, change that fuse. Right here, the fuses are all on the left and right. After you change the fuse, that light should go green. Then just put your cover back on. There is a Hobbs meter at the top to tell you how many hours in use the burner has been on. This unit needs to be serviced every 12 months in order to continue to operate properly. And in our last compartment forward is our cord reel compartment. Inside our cord reel compartment, we took off the ABS cover here that was covering our fuses and our battery disconnect and our charge bridge solenoid. If any of the, for instance, step cover were not working, or the trailer plug for auxiliary power, or our cockpit lights weren't working, we would come back to this panel, remove it, go to that number of the fuse. Let's say F8 is our spare. So if our cockpit lights weren't working, we'd go to F7, pull that fuse out and replace it, and then go back and check to see if those cockpit lights were working. There are mini breakers at the bottom that are resettable, the same kind as in the half bath that were near the bottom. These are also at the bottom. Just to the right hand side is your inverter. This is your Victron inverter that you can control from the touch panel inside above the entrance door, as long as this switch, the black switch, is turned up or on. If this is turned off, you won't be able to have any view on the inside panel, or if it's just set to charger only, you won't have the inside panel to control it. So always leave your inverter turned on or up or in the direction of the top towards the orange, and that way your interior panel will be able to be use to turn the inverter to on, off, or different view and interior settings. The automatic transfer switch beside the cord reel switches between shore cord and generator. As long as both lines are getting power on the 50 amp cord, both of these red lights are on. If you only see one red light, you only have one leg of power coming in. And that might be if you're using a cheater cord, for instance, you will only see one red light. If you see these lights flashing, there's a fault. That fault will usually be displayed right here, and you can scroll up and down on this screen to the fault screen to see what fault you have. This is a power monitor for the automatic transfer switch, and it will give you the information on your voltage coming in and your amperage used. This cover is for your park cable. This is where you plug in your cable from the park, and if this is going to be used to watch cable TV, you'll have to scan those cable channels on your TV and turn off the WineGuard over-the-air TV antenna for you to get that signal. When you're finished in this compartment, the Velcro tabs here and here get lined up with the Velcro there. This panel gets wrapped around and stays in front of those fuses and relays. So it goes this way. So in this compartment, it's the same as the other compartment, except for there is a DEF fill here. So you would fill your DEF here, and this is your fuel for your diesel. It fills the same tank as the other side. So when you first enter your coach, if it's been in storage, you'll need to turn on your battery disconnect, which would have been turned off, turning the chassis batteries off. You can see ours is lit up green right now, so our disconnect is on. So if I want to store the coach, I have to press and hold this for just a second or two, and you can see that it went out. When I'm taking the coach out of storage, I want to press that again up to turn it on. And we talked earlier about the light test, which tests all your marker and brake lights and headlights.